The real estate market everywhere has really gone crazy over the last couple of years. It's a lot different. Lots of things have changed, and the Memphis area here is no exception. And really, there's a lot of misconceptions now about what is actually going on and how today's market compares to that of 6 months or a year ago. So if you want to know what's going on right here in Memphis with the housing market, if you're looking to buy a house here soon, this is something that you definitely want to know. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the Moving to Memphis channel. Here with Kris. A little remote session today. How are you doing over there, Kris?
Doing well. Doing perfect.
All right. Well, y'all, we want to tell you about this. There's a lot of things going on, and of course, we talk to people every day about that are looking to buy here, that are moving here, and I think the big thing that we want to let you know now, there's some misconceptions, and Kris, we were just talking about it before we got on here. About that. So Kris, what are people looking at, and how does this compare, and should we even compare it to the market of a year ago or 6 months ago?
Well, I don't think it compares, Jared, because buyers actually have a chance now. I mean, 6-12 months ago, it was tough for buyers out there. You wanted to buy a home, but the inventory wasn't there, and the homes that were available, there was multiple offers, 10, 15, 20 offers on one house. So I think the market is much better if you're a buyer.
Yeah, so it was things were selling like basically the day it went on the market, or within a couple of days. Artificially, sometimes kept on the market a couple of days just to get all those extra offers. I mean, it was just it was crazy, and we had people. You worked with people out showing houses, making offers, and just losing. So I mean, something that you had brought up to me, and I thought made a lot of sense was, you'll see these things online. They'll post, well, a year ago you could bought this and it would save you, I don't know, $300, $400, $500 on your monthly payment if you would have bought then versus now. If you could even, and we had people trying, but if you could even buy then.
You couldn't win the bids, Jared. You couldn't win the bids. You were going up against cash buyers from these hedge funds and people out of town. And I mean, I had buyers going 10, 20,000 over list price and could not win the bid because they were up against an all cash offer with no inspections, no contingencies. So I had tens of buyers that wanted to buy the house, but no one could actually win the bid when competing against these cash offers from these out of town investors and hedge funds. Yeah,
and so now that we've gotten here, of course, this is typically, we're in the winter months, we're in December, so it's, real estate is somewhat seasonal, cyclical as we go. So we're kind of at the lower point of that anyway, but we're also cooling off from the craziness that's been going on ever since 2020, and that of course has been helped by that big jump in the interest rates. So that's not something we can't ignore. The interest rates are higher, significantly higher than they have been. But at the same time, they've also come back down. They've been higher than they were. So, I mean, I feel like I think we're settling back into kind of a steady place. What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree with that. The rates are lower than the peak about 30 days ago. Like you said, this is the first week of December that we're in now. I think the peak was probably early November as far as rates. I'm seeing my local loan officers and people in town that are advertising rates about 1/2 to 3/4 lower than what they were just 3-4 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's true. So all that's kind of coming together, and I want to kind of break this down a little bit. I think most of right now, at least here in the Memphis market, I think the biggest change, I guess, in the resale and the new builds, it's different than where we were before.
Sure.
But looking at the resale side, I think it's where you've got really kind of the biggest contrast from what you were looking at before. Because now, like I said, you can buy. There's a little more options. Just like you can actually negotiate. Like there was no negotiating. It was sign your firstborn child away and everything else,
right,
to maybe get the house, back then. Whereas now you can come in and say, hey, it's been on the market for 30 days, right? What can we do?
I think the buyers are in a much better position right now. Well, I know they are, because you're able to come in, you're making offers contingent on inspections, appraisals, financing, and things like that. And before, you were having to waive all those safeguards just to have a shot at winning the bid. The rates are higher. The monthly payment's going to be higher, but guess what? You're not having to pay 10, 15, 20,000 above list price to have a shot at it. As a matter of fact, the last several offers I've written in the past 2 months, we've come in a little bit less than the list price. And we've locked down contracts at that. And the better part of it is you're able to ask for concessions, right? Like before, you had to pay your down payment, you had to pay all your own closing costs, all your inspections, any repairs, you were pretty much just accepting them. And that's changed now. Right now, we're getting contracts at or below list price. We're asking for seller concessions to help with the closing costs, and even asking for repairs on inspections. So everything's back on the table for the buyers now. You are paying a higher rate, yes, but you're in a much better position of being able to negotiate and actually win a contract and get a home that you want. Because before, you were not winning those bids. So what you were doing is you were overpaying for a house that was not your first choice because you missed out on the first 2 or 3 that you were bidding on. So you were getting your 3rd, 4th, 5th choice of home, and you were paying above appraised value to get it. Yeah, the rate was great and the payment was low, but you were walking into repairs, no home warranties, paying all your own costs. So the market is much better for buyers right now, Jared. It truly is.
Yeah, and I think another big point here is, one of the big draws, if you're somebody who's out there and you're looking at moving to Memphis, one of the reasons you might be considering Memphis is because, it's still a relatively affordable market compared to a lot of the other major cities. I mean, you can come in and get something for much less. But, if you're somebody who's looking for that affordability, and let's say you came in with a, like an FHA loan or one of these, low down or even zero down payment loans, depending on what you could get. Today you actually might be able to work a deal where you come in and have to come out of pocket with hardly anything to close on some of these types. But back then, even if you had zero down, you were still paying. You still had to have 20 grand or 15 grand just to close to pay all those extra things. And I think a lot of people didn't even realize that either. That caught a lot of people off guard.
Yeah, people didn't realize that. So when you were offering above these list prices, the lender's only going to loan up to the appraised value. So you had to cover that appraisal gap, which is the difference between what the home appraised for and what your offer price was. So that difference, it had to come cash to the table from the buyer. So the cash to close is less. Yes, your monthly payment is more, but your cash to close now is better than it's been in the past 12 to 18 months.
Yeah, it really makes it to where you could am I paying more now than I was then? It really doesn't even come into the equation. You couldn't do it before, and now you can. So that's a big deal for a lot of people, and that's pretty much across the board. The other thing I wanted to get into was the new build side of things, because the other thing that we didn't see, for the past couple of years was any kind of incentive, really, and they weren't super realtor friendly either.
No, the builders really didn't need us. Yeah, the builders didn't need us there for 1 to 2 years. They kind of had more buyers than they could build for, to be honest with you. And they didn't have to offer any incentives. The prices seemed like they were climbing on a monthly basis. There was a new price point, and definitely each phase, as they opened up the next phase of the subdivision, those prices were always, 2, 3, 5% more than what they were in the earlier phases. So that's true. There were no incentives from the builders, and there was pretty much a waiting list to purchase one of their homes.
Yeah, and so that right there too, with the incentives they've brought back, that gives you the opportunity to, with the rates, which even though they've ticked down a little bit, still a little bit higher than they were, or still a good bit higher than they were, if you go back. But they're giving you the incentives that you can use now. What are they offering on some of these?
The big incentive I'm seeing at the higher price points, the new construction in like Arlington, Lakeland, maybe even somewhere in the North Mississippi areas and out in the Atoka area, is a lot of the builders are offering this 2-to-1 buy down. So that's what that is the rate for the first year of the home is 2% less than what your fixed rate is. The second year is 1% less, and then it evens out on that third year at your locked in interest rate. So there's a 2-to-1 buy down. If buyers are not wanting to use that 2-to-1 buy down, then they're also offering that in concessions. So you could use that fee instead of buying the rate down. You could use it for like closing costs, the fence, maybe a fridge, things like that. But the incentives from the builders, they're back, and they're asking for buyers. I'm noticing these new builds are now back on MLS like they were previously to the hot market. So yes, the incentives from the builders are back. The main thing I'm seeing is a 2-to-1 buy down, or like 7,500 to 10,000 towards closing costs.
And I think is it DR Horton is giving the bigger one that we know of, right? As far as those incentives.
Yeah, the
And
DR Horton right now, they've got homes in the Millington area and the Oakland area, and they're starting a new area out in Munford. But I'm seeing that they're offering 10,000 in closing costs, and if you use the DR Horton lender, their rates are really attractive. I mean, they're about 0.5% to 1% lower than what my local banks are offering. But that is specific to their homes, using their lender, their title company, everything like that. So, but hey, they've got homes sitting there ready to go. I would call that more of like a downsize or a first-time home buyer type loan. But you can come in there. The house has got all the appliances, including the fridge. It's got blinds on the windows, which is kind of unheard of in new construction. And they're paying all your closing costs. Most of those areas I mentioned, which is Oakland, the Munford area, which is in South Tipton County, and Millington, a lot of those qualify for the 100% USDA loans. So you're able to go in for literally no money down on those homes. I just closed one 2 weeks ago to a guy that's relocating to work at the Millington Naval Station. And so he's got a VA loan, which is 100%. He was able to lock in, I think the VA loans right now are around 5.5%. And so if you guys are coming here with your VA certificate to purchase your first home, we can get you in one of these DR Horton homes, which is super close to the naval base, and get all your closing costs paid, a fridge, blinds, just basically move in ready.
Yeah, that's right, y'all. So that's where we are. The market has really, it's so different today. It just it doesn't even compare to where we were.
Wow.
And I think a lot of people point out the downside, but I think there's a real big upside to anybody who's actually looking to buy, anybody looking to move here to Memphis. And if that's you, we're making the videos like this. We also like to make the ones where we get out and show you around. So make sure you do get down there, hit the subscribe button while you're here, and click the bell. That way you'll get notified when our videos come out. And then if you're the person who really is thinking about making that move, do that. Take it a step further.
Yeah, guys, go ahead and reach out to me at the number below. Call or text. I'll answer just as soon as time allows, and we'll start that process of you relocating right here to Memphis.
That's right, y'all. We want to make that process easy for you, and we do that too with the videos. We're giving you the information. So if you're intrigued with Memphis, maybe you're early on considering it, you want to know more about it, again, we make these videos all the time. So check out this video. I'll put it right here in the center of the screen, where we give you all the pros and cons of what it's like to live here in Memphis, and we'll see you there.